After being reborn, Willow still wanted to enter an arranged marriage with me. Just like she had in my previous life, she was certain that I would marry her. After all, we had been married for 8 years. I had loved her deeply, cherished her, and treated her like the most precious person in the world. But in this life, I refused, because in the 7th year of our marriage, she had an affair. The other man was her young assistant. Willow looked at me in disbelief. "George, you loved me so much. How could you not want to marry me?" I was speechless. What an idiot. Hadn't she ever wondered why, in our previous life, she and her lover had both died so young despite everything going so smoothly? I was the one who did it. Chapter 1. The moment I opened my eyes, I realized I had been reborn into my 26th year. Looking at my youthful reflection in the mirror, I felt momentarily dazed. In my previous life, I had lived for more than 100 years. I was surrounded by children and grandchildren and never had to worry about a thing. When I died, I had no regrets. My entire life had gone remarkably smoothly. There was only one exception. My first wife had died young. She had just celebrated her 32nd birthday when she passed away. Everyone felt sorry for me. They said that although we had never had children, we had spent 8 years together and shared a deep bond. We were a couple many people in our social circle admired and envied. Ha! A mocking smile curled at the corner of my lips. Just then, the butler came looking for me. "Young master, the old master would like you downstairs. Miss Lou wants to see you." Miss Lou? Oh, Willow Lou. Had she come to my house on this exact day in my previous life as well? I couldn't even remember anymore. When I went downstairs, I saw Willow sitting elegantly on the sofa with flawless makeup, chatting and laughing with my father. Seeing the young Willow again, I felt completely calm. She had an exceptionally beautiful face, phoenix-shaped eyes, a high nose bridge, and striking features that left a powerful impression. Many people believed her looks and figure rivaled those of celebrities. In my previous life, I had fallen in love with her at first sight, so when she took the initiative to propose an arranged marriage, I agreed immediately. After we got married, she told me that she had fallen in love with me at first sight as well. Willow was a bold woman. She got straight to the point and told my father exactly why she had come. She wanted to marry into my family. My father had met her several times through work and had a very favorable impression of her. He also knew that I had feelings for Willow, so he did not reject the proposal. Instead, he smiled warmly and said, "I don't have any objections, but we should still hear George's opinion." At that moment, the sound of my footsteps caught their attention. My father beckoned me over. "George, you've heard what Miss Lou said. The decision is yours." My father had always doted on me. No matter what it was, he would ask for my opinion and let me make my own choices. I looked at Willow. She was wearing a custom-made white suit today, giving her an image that was both capable and elegant. When she noticed me looking at her, a gentle smile appeared on her lips. It was undeniably charming. I answered directly, "I refuse." The moment those words left my mouth, Willow's smile froze. She stared at me in shock. My father's eyes widened slightly as he looked from me to Willow. Trying to ease the awkwardness, he chuckled and smoothed things over. "Miss Lou, please don't take it personally. My son has always said he's in no hurry to get married. I thought he might have changed his mind. Matters of the heart should be left to fate. Think of this as making a new friend. There may be opportunities to get to know each other better in the future." I thought that after such a direct rejection, someone with Willow's personality would leave gracefully. To my surprise, she shot to her feet and pressed the issue. Why won't you marry me?" She even lost her composure and grabbed my wrist. "I sincerely want to marry you." I narrowed my eyes. Something was wrong. According to how things had unfolded in this life, we had only met a handful of times and barely knew each other. There was no reason for her to react so strongly just because I had rejected the marriage proposal. A thought suddenly surfaced in my mind. Willow was just like me. She had been reborn too. I pried Willow's fingers off mine one by one, took a step back, and put some distance between us before saying, "You want to marry me, so I have to marry you. You may be willing, but I'm not. It's that simple." Chapter 2. Willow's eyes flickered as she took a step back in disbelief. "George, no, it shouldn't be like this. You clearly felt something for me." "Felt what for you?" I interrupted her with a cold laugh, my tone distant. "Miss Lou, we're not that familiar, are we? From now on, please address me as Mr. Wong." It was as if Willow had just woken from a dream. She looked at me deeply before regaining her composure. "My apologies, Mr. Wong. I lost my composure just now. I have other matters to attend to, so I won't disturb you any longer." Willow gave a slight bow to my father, then turned around and left in a daze. My father leisurely took a sip of tea and asked in confusion, "George, haven't you always had feelings for her? Why does it seem like you dislike her today?" I shook my head. "That's all in the past. In my previous life, we had feelings for each other, and our arranged marriage went smoothly. After the wedding, we spent several years deeply in love. Even later, when she openly brought the men she was cheating with to various banquets. I didn't make trouble for her after finding out. That made her think my love for her had no limits, that I would even turn a blind eye to her cheating. So after being reborn, she was extremely confident and believed I would marry her again just like I did in the previous life, but I didn't want to. Although after discovering her affair in my previous life, I quietly dealt with both her and her lover. I also absorbed the entire Lu group, but she was still tainted, and I have no interest in a tainted woman. My father sighed. Actually, Willow is quite outstanding. Her abilities in the business world far surpass those of her brother. I've always thought highly of the two of you together. In my previous life, he had been very satisfied with Willow as his daughter-in-law. Even later, when Willow Lu seized control of the Lu family, my father had provided considerable support. Unfortunately, after gaining power, Willow began to think her status was different, and then she cheated. Of course, I knew what my father was thinking. He still wanted to bring Willow and me together, so I needed to completely put an end to that idea. Dad, things aren't as simple as they seem with Willow. I'll have someone investigate her, because I had suddenly realized that Willow came to see me half a month earlier than she had in my previous life. My father nodded and said nothing more. A few days later, I showed him the information I had gathered. After reading it, his face turned livid with anger. Just as I had expected, Willow had probably been reborn before I was, and immediately after her rebirth, she had rushed to find Makoto, the lover from her previous life, who was still a university student at the moment, and had become his sugar mommy. What does Willow think the Wang family is? My father was furious. She isn't even married yet, and she's already keeping a lover. Absolutely shameless. And she still wants to marry you. She's not worthy. Of course Willow wasn't worthy. I wanted to see how she would seize power from her brother and become the next head of the Lu family without the support of the Wang family in this life. From then on, I devoted myself entirely to making money, meetings, reports, projects. I handled everything with astonishing efficiency. The numbers in my bank accounts climbed higher and higher every day. One day, while I was working, someone knocked on the office door. My secretary walked in, followed by a beautiful young woman. Boss, this is Anna. She graduated from a university and is your new assistant. I lifted my gaze and looked at her. Anna lowered her eyelashes and stood there quietly. Her skin was fair, and her large watery eyes gave her an innocent appearance. She had the kind of pure and delicate beauty that many people found irresistible. Something stirred within me. How long had it been since we last met? Probably more than 30 years. Chapter 3. I told the manager to leave. Seeing that I was only looking at her without saying anything, Anna cautiously raised her eyes and met my gaze. Smiling, I asked, "Have we met before?" The moment those words left my mouth, Anna's eyes lit up with excitement. Her cheeks flushed red as she replied, "Yes, we have." She was one of the students I had sponsored in the past. Once, when I visited her alma mater to discuss a business partnership, she had served as the event host, and we had met briefly. She had a crush on me. After graduation, she joined my company as my secretary and worked diligently for her entire life, saving me a great deal of trouble. Pulling myself back from my thoughts, I said to her, "Anna, I know who you are. Are you willing to stay by my side?" Anna's eyes widened instantly, her red lips parting slightly. Looking into her astonished eyes, I said seriously, "I mean exactly what you think I mean. Are you willing?" Her whole body trembled. A deep blush quickly spread across her face and even down her neck. Her doe-like eyes locked onto mine as she nodded solemnly. "Yes, I am." In my previous life, after learning of Willow's death, she had immediately confessed her feelings to me. She said she knew she wasn't qualified to marry into the Wang family, but all she wanted was to be with me. She told me that if I hadn't begun sponsoring her when she was in high school, her family would have forced her to drop out and get married long ago. I was the benefactor who had changed her destiny. But later, she also told me that she had fallen for me the very first time she saw me. Even if I had never sponsored her, she still would have loved me. Unfortunately, in my previous life, she only stayed with me until the age of 80 before passing away from illness. Just now, I had merely tested the waters with a question, and she agreed without the slightest hesitation. She hadn't lied to me. At that moment, there was another knock on the office door. My secretary entered and said, "Boss, Miss Lu wants to see you." I frowned. Not interested. If Willow hadn't come looking for me, I would have almost forgotten she existed. I had already rejected her quite decisively before. Why was she looking for me now? The secretary said awkwardly, "Boss, Miss Lu said that as long as you hear this person's name, you'll definitely agree to see her." I replied impatiently. "Who?" "Makoto." I froze for a moment. Oh, she's getting desperate. Now I really wanted to see what kind of miserable state she was in. Of course, I was also curious why she had voluntarily brought up Makoto, the so-called true love she later told me about. Back then, She had even secretly transferred assets and handed everything over to Makoto. When Willow entered, there was a trace of anxiety between her brows, but more than that, there was confusion. George, no. Mr. Wong, did you refuse the marriage alliance because of Makoto? I raised an eyebrow. And why would you think that? After being reborn, once I learned that she had become the sugar mommy of her lover from the previous life, I made sure the news spread everywhere. A wealthy heiress keeping a college student as her boy toy was already sensational enough. Whether inside elite circles or among the general public, she became quite famous. I heard that after Willow's father found out, he was furious and even slapped her. Because of the scandal, other wealthy families were unwilling to arrange marriages with her, and her reputation plummeted. Willow spoke urgently. You clearly liked me before. The fact that you suddenly rejected me must be because of Makoto. But I can explain everything about him, she continued. My relationship with Makoto is not what the rumors say, nor is it what you think. I only let him stay in my villa because I felt sorry for him. From beginning to end, I've only treated him like a younger brother. She quietly observed my expression. Looking completely innocent and clear-conscienced, she went on. He's extremely talented and will undoubtedly become a rare talent in the future. Taking him in was merely my way of cultivating a future asset for the company. Her eyes burned with intensity as she looked at me, her expression full of affection. Young Master Wong, I truly love you. Chapter 4. I laughed. Was Willow Lu really treating everyone like fools? The Wong family was leagues ahead of the Lu family. I was the legitimate heir to the Wong family, while she was currently nothing more than a department manager within the Lu group. What made her think that if she claimed she had no special relationship with Makoto, I would believe her and even tolerate it? She was far too confident. I let out a mocking laugh. Do you even believe those words yourself? A flash of embarrassment crossed Willow's face, but she probably realized that she needed something from me now, so she could only force herself to continue. Young Master Wong, I'm really not lying to you. If you truly can't accept it, I can send Makoto away. All right. Her words were sincere, and her tone carried a hint of compromise. I looked at her and said coldly, word by word, that's unnecessary. I don't want to. Anger appeared in Willow's eyes, and her voice unconsciously rose. George, I've already gone this far. Why are you still making things so difficult for me? She had probably never imagined that I, who had always indulged her excessively, would reject her so decisively. In the previous life, until the day she died, she believed I loved her beyond reason. There was even one occasion when her boy toy deliberately caused trouble in front of me to humiliate me. And I didn't say a word at the time. I simply sent him to meet God later without making a sound. Looking at her coldly, I said, from beginning to end, you're the one who wanted to marry me and pursue this marriage alliance. This has always been your own wishful thinking. A mocking smile curled at the corner of my lips. I never once agreed to marry you. Willow's expression darkened completely. George Wong, what's happened to you? You never used to treat me like this. Her eyes were filled with disappointment, and her tone was thick with accusation. Makoto is nothing more than an ordinary male friend I treat like a younger brother. Yet you can't tolerate him at all. How did you become so petty? I was completely wrong about you. I realized I had been giving her too much face, which was why she dared speak to me this way. She thought that as long as she lowered her head and sought reconciliation, I would continue tolerating her as always, while she remained the lofty Lu family heiress and future head of the Lu family. What a ridiculous fantasy. I stood up and strode directly toward Willow. Then I suddenly raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face. Smack. The sharp sound exploded through the quiet office. I didn't hold back at all. The force of the slap turned Willow's head to the side. A vivid red handprint immediately appeared on her delicate cheek, and she froze where she stood. Willow's eyes widened in disbelief. Shock, humiliation, and utter disbelief filled her gaze. She stared at me as if she no longer recognized me. Looking down at her coldly, I spoke in a voice as icy as winter. Willow, have I spoiled you so much that you've forgotten your place? Take a good look at yourself. What status do you have right now? What gives you the right to negotiate with me? Willow opened her mouth in shock, but no words came out. I scoffed, my tone dripping with undisguised mockery. If I were you, I'd spend more time worrying about your own situation. You really think you can still secure your position within the Lu family? Watching her face turn pale, I continued coldly. The internal power struggle within the Lu family is more intense than ever. Do you really think you have a chance of competing for control? Once your older brother takes power and fully secures control of the Lu family, what do you think will happen to you, the sister who lost the family power struggle? Do you think he won't throw you out of the Lu family entirely? Without me, if she thought she could defeat her brother and become the head of the Lu family like she had in the previous life, she was dreaming. Those words struck directly at her greatest weakness. Her entire body trembled violently, and every trace of color drained from her face. At that moment, a sweet voice interrupted the tense atmosphere. Boss, I made these cookies myself. Would you like to try one? Chapter 5. Anna walked in carrying an exquisite box and asked shyly, "Boss, I made these cookies myself. Would you like to try one?" I smiled and nodded. Of course. Willow instinctively frowned, her probing gaze moving back and forth between Anna and me. Then she suddenly flew into a rage. "George, did you reject me because of her? How could you betray me? You're such a jerk." Smack. Smack. I rewarded her with 2 more slaps. "Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to interfere in my affairs?" Willow's cheeks were swollen and red, her lips trembled, and her eyes gradually reddened. "George, why you? Could it be that you also?" Looking at her shocked expression, I understood. She had probably guessed that I had been reborn as well, but I had no interest in saying another word to her. I directly called security. In the end, Willow was dragged out by the guards. She looked extremely disheveled. Her cheeks were swollen, her hair had come loose, and she kept shouting "husband" at me, demanding that I give her an explanation. What bad luck. I hadn't spared her in the previous life, and in this life she meant absolutely nothing to me. The huge CEO office was left with only Anna and me. She stood in front of the desk, her slender figure slightly lowered. After a long silence, she finally looked up at me and asked cautiously, "Boss, the reason you accepted me and allowed me to stay by your side, was it to make Miss Lou jealous?" Looking at her disappointed expression, I casually asked, "And what if it was?" A thin layer of mist instantly appeared in Anna's clear eyes, making her look somewhat heartbroken, yet she still forced a smile. "If that's the case, then that's all right. As long as I can help you, then I have value. Really, I don't mind at all. I only want to stay by your side." I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. She looked exactly like a classic pretentious coquette. She said she didn't mind, yet she put on such a pitiful expression that anyone would feel sorry for her. Still, this version of her was much cuter than the decisive and formidable Anna she became later in my previous life. I reached out and lightly tapped the tip of her nose. "That's not it. How could she possibly compare to you? Even without her, I would still choose you." Anna's eyes immediately lit up. A bright smile curved her brows and eyes. "Then, I guess I was just lucky to meet you." Then she asked curiously, "Will you enter into an arranged marriage with another woman?" A memory flashed through my mind. Before she died, she held my hand and told me that in the next life, and the life after that, I had to wait for her. I had promised her. I gently rubbed her head. No, the Wang family was already powerful enough. There was no need to rely on marriage alliances to secure our position. I only hoped that in this life, she could stay with me a little longer. Near the end of the workday, my secretary entered carrying an elegant box. "Boss, Miss Lou had someone deliver this. She said it belonged to her mother and insisted that I give it to you." I knew there was a jade bracelet inside. In my previous life, Willow had always worn it on her wrist. Later, I saw it on Makoto's wrist. By then, I already knew about their affair and had finished making all the necessary arrangements. He even provoked me directly to my face. Not long afterward, I arranged for both of them to be sent to the crematorium one after another. Willow had realized that I might have been reborn as well. Yet she still dared to use this bracelet to disgust me. People who get a second chance at life really do have thick skin. I accepted the bracelet. It was worth quite a bit, and I planned to sell it and donate the proceeds to charity. At the same time, I instructed my staff to prepare a charitable donation certificate along with $250 in cash and send them to Willow. That would make my position perfectly clear, and at least it would count as doing a good deed. Chapter 6. But what I didn't expect was that Willow refused to give up and began relentlessly pursuing me. She had always been proud and arrogant, rarely lowering herself for anyone. But after getting a second chance at life, things were not going smoothly for her. She was even at risk of being abandoned by her family. Naturally, she wanted to cling tightly to a powerful backer like me. She started frequently sending me gifts and asking to meet. I rejected every gift without exception, and meeting her was completely out of the question. She tried coming to my home and company, but I was always surrounded by bodyguards. She couldn't even get close. I learned that the Liu family was extremely dissatisfied because her relationship with Makoto had damaged the company's reputation. They had already removed her from the company's core operations. People within elite circles were also gossiping about it endlessly. Everyone knew that Willow's obsession with me was nothing more than an attempt to gain access to the power of the Wang family. Some people also said that while many wealthy couples played around after marriage, Willow was the first person they had ever seen become involved in a sugar mommy scandal before even getting married. She had never been worthy of me in the first place. Now that her reputation was ruined, she had even less chance of forming a marriage alliance with the Wang family. I knew that from this point forward, even without my involvement, Willow's situation and eventual fate would not end well. Half a month later, at a banquet attended by prominent figures from the business world, I saw Willow again. Although it was obvious she had carefully dressed up, she still couldn't hide the exhaustion on her face. She wore a striking red dress that made her stand out among the crowd. A polite smile hung on her face as she chatted with the people around her. The moment Willow saw me, her eyes immediately lit up. But when she noticed Anna standing beside me as my companion, her expression instantly darkened. The way she looked at me changed completely. There was confusion, shock, and an unmistakable trace of anger. Clicking across the floor in high heels, she quickly strode toward us. Her eyes locked fiercely onto me as she demanded, "George, have the two of you been together for a long time?" The surrounding area instantly fell silent. Everyone turned to look at us. Willow seemed completely unaware of the attention. Her eyes were red with anger. "How could you do this to me? Did you betray me in the previous life too?" Looking at her loss of control, I replied coldly, "Miss Liu, in what capacity are you questioning me right now? Who I choose to be with is my freedom. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. You've repeatedly harassed me and tried to marry me. Have you already started imagining yourself as Mrs. Wang?" The corner of my mouth curled slightly. "Actually, I'd love to ask your father whether this is how the Liu family teaches its daughters to behave." My words were sharp and merciless. Willow's face immediately turned pale. She finally realized that in this life she had never married me. She had absolutely no right to tell me what to do. The surrounding guests immediately began whispering among themselves. Has Willow lost her mind? She isn't even engaged to young Master Wang, yet she's publicly questioning him. I heard the next heir of the Liu family has already been decided. She's panicking. I've never seen anyone so shameless. Young Master Wang already rejected her, yet she keeps clinging to him. With her reputation now, I wouldn't want her even if she came for free. Hearing the comments around her, Willow's face alternated between red and white. She clenched her fists so tightly that her knuckles whitened. Just then, a man in a suit pushed through the crowd and headed straight toward Willow. The moment she saw him, her expression changed drastically. "Why are you here? Didn't I tell you to stay home?" The newcomer was none other than Makoto. Faced with Willow's displeasure, he became upset as well. "I'm your boyfriend. Am I not even worthy of going out with you? Stop causing trouble and go back immediately." Willow seemed to be suppressing her anger with all her strength as she issued the warning in a low voice. Makoto looked both aggrieved and unwilling to back down. "You were the one who approached me first. You were the one who told me I could do whatever I wanted around you. It's only been a short time, and you've already changed your mind." The whispers among the guests grew louder and louder. Willow was completely enraged. She raised her hand and slapped Makoto across the face. Smack. "You should learn your place." After saying that, she probably realized how humiliating the situation was, especially with me standing there watching. She didn't stay another second and immediately turned around and hurried away. Makoto chased after her from behind, apologizing repeatedly. I watched the entire scene coldly. Serves her right. She brought all of this upon herself. She hadn't even secured her position within the Liu family, yet she still chose to fool around recklessly. This was exactly what people meant by bringing disaster upon yourself. No one else was to blame. Chapter 7. After that, if Willow was attending a banquet, I wouldn't go, and fewer people were willing to invite her. Finally, she could no longer sit still. One evening after work, she blocked my car. "George, why won't you marry me again? Why?" As she spoke, she tried to approach me, but my bodyguards firmly stopped her. Willow could only stand several steps away and talk to me. Her eyes were red, and she looked deeply wronged. "Why? You were willing to marry me in the previous life. What did I do wrong? Wasn't I good to you? Weren't we happy together? If you were really dissatisfied with me, why didn't you say anything in the previous life?" She kept talking and questioning me, as if she genuinely couldn't understand why I no longer wanted to marry her after being reborn. I looked at her coldly, a sarcastic smile appearing on my lips. "Just because I was willing in the previous life doesn't mean I have to be willing in this one. You really don't seem to understand plain language. I've already told you countless times, I won't marry you because you're not worthy. Can you really not tell that I dislike you? That I don't even want the slightest connection with you?" Willow's face instantly turned pale. Her lips trembled as she frantically shook her head. No, it's because of Makoto, isn't it? I've already sent him away. He won't get between us anymore." She stared at me without blinking, her eyes full of hope. "Look, I've gone this far for you. Haven't you forgiven me yet? I swear that in this life I'll only love you. I'll devote myself entirely to you. Do oaths actually mean anything?" I looked at her with disgust. When people get married, who doesn't make promises? How many actually keep them? I never accepted you in the first place, yet you're acting as though sending him away was something you did for me. But did you ever ask whether I wanted that? Did you ever ask whether I cared? Don't make it sound as if I broke the two of you apart. You're simply afraid of losing the support of the Wang family, so you've made a choice for the sake of your own future. What does that have to do with me? After a brief pause, my tone turned even harsher. "Willow, I don't care about anything you do for me." Willow's face became livid. She shouted angrily, I know I did something wrong to you before, but I've changed. In the previous life, you forgave me. Why can't you forgive me in this life? Forgive her? How naive. I smiled coolly at her. Willow, in the previous life, how did the seawater taste? Willow froze. Confusion and bewilderment filled her eyes. What do you mean? The smile on my face widened, but I didn't answer. The next second, Willow's eyes widened dramatically. Shock spread across her face. She opened her mouth, and when she finally spoke, her voice trembled. My accidental fall into the sea, that was your doing. Her hand shook as she pointed at me. Her voice suddenly rose to a sharp pitch. You killed me. I nodded with a pleasant smile. Yes, in the previous life, I did forgive you, because I personally sent you to hell. In an instant, it was as if Willow had been struck by lightning. Her expression nearly shattered. Her entire body trembled violently. It was clear that she simply could not accept the truth. Chapter 8. I put away my smile and said coldly, Willow, you deserved to die in the previous life. Do you really think I would marry you again in this one? Tears instantly streamed down Willow's face. It was as if all the strength had been drained from her body. She collapsed to the ground with a thud. Looking down at her from above, I continued. And I didn't spare your lover either. Not long after your death, I sent him to join you. See, wasn't that considerate of me? Willow suddenly lifted her head. Her eyes were bloodshot. George, we were husband and wife once. You really are cruel. She shouted at the top of her lungs, veins bulging on her face. I only cheated on you. What right did you have to kill me? And what right did you have to kill him? I shrugged and replied casually. Because I wanted to. Willow stared at me with overwhelming hatred burning in her eyes. George, you aren't even human. You have no conscience. Her emotions completely spiraled out of control. Suddenly, she scrambled up from the ground and charged at me like a madwoman, clawing and screaming, You'll get what's coming to you. You'll die a horrible death. The two bodyguards standing in front of me reacted instantly. The moment she moved, they stepped forward and stopped her cold. No matter how wildly she struggled, lunged, or clawed at them, she couldn't get any closer to me. She couldn't even touch the corner of my clothes. Eventually, Willow broke down. She fell to the ground in despair. Her hair was a mess, her makeup was ruined, and tears covered her face. There was no trace left of the elegant, wealthy heiress she once was. George, I won't let you get away with this. Even then, she still found the strength to threaten me viciously. I gave my bodyguards a look. They immediately stepped forward and grabbed her arms. Let me go. Let me go. Willow struggled frantically, but there was no escaping the grip of the towering guards. I slowly walked over and firmly grabbed her chin. The pressure in my grip left no room for resistance, forcing her to raise her head and look directly at me. Willow, you really are determined to destroy yourself. Ever since you came back, you've harassed me over and over again. I've already made my position clear. Because of you, the Wang family will no longer cooperate with the Lu group. Starting tomorrow, I'll publicly announce that because of you, I'm going after the Lu group. I paused before continuing. Tell me, when your useless brother finally takes control, will he blame you for all of this? And do you think the rest of the Lu family will let you off the hook? The moment those words landed, the last trace of color vanished from Willow Lu's already pale face. Her entire body trembled uncontrollably. The hatred in her eyes was gradually replaced by terror. Without the Lu family, she was finished. Panic filled her gaze. For the first time, she lowered herself completely and begged, George, please don't do this to me. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I'll never bother you again. Tears rolled endlessly down her cheeks, and her voice choked with sobs. We were husband and wife once. Please think about our past together. Spare the Lu family. Spare me, please. I'm begging you. I laughed. Our past together. Willow, you're unbelievably foolish. In the previous life, I killed you. There was never any past affection between us. We were enemies. Willow stared blankly at me. No words came out. Only silent tears continued to fall down her face. I no longer had any interest in looking at her pathetic and ridiculous state. Releasing her chin, I turned around and got into my car. At the same time, the bodyguards let her go. The car door closed, cutting off Willow's cries and hysterical shouting behind me. I never looked back at her again. In the previous life, I hadn't shown mercy. In this life, I certainly wouldn't start now. Chapter 9. From that day on, Willow never dared to come looking for me again. I heard that troubles kept piling up around her, leaving her overwhelmed and unable to take care of herself. One day, while I was at a hotel preparing to propose to Anna, a man wearing a hotel janitor's uniform, a face mask, and a baseball cap walked in with his head lowered. Before I could call for my bodyguards, the man tore off his mask, rushed straight toward me, and dropped heavily to his knees. Young Master Wang, please save Miss Lu, please. His voice was hoarse, and he looked miserable. I recognized him immediately. The lover Willow had kept in both lifetimes. Makoto. He had actually disguised himself as a hotel employee and sneaked into my private room. Looking down at the kneeling Makoto, I said coldly, "I have nothing to do with her. Why should I save her?" Makoto clutched my pant leg desperately and explained with reddened eyes. "Young Master Wang, Miss Lu asked me to come find you. You don't know what's happening. Miss Lu's brother has taken over the Lu Group, but the company has recently fallen into a massive crisis. The entire cash flow has collapsed, and it's on the verge of bankruptcy." He spoke rapidly, every word sounding sincere. "To save the company, CEO Lu is forcing Miss Lu to marry a wealthy businessman in his 50s. They want to trade her marriage for a huge investment. Miss Lu has nowhere else to turn. You're the only one who can help her. She asked me to beg you to help her for the sake of your past relationship." After hearing everything, a cold smile appeared on my lips. The Lu family's current situation is entirely my doing. How could I possibly help Willow? She really is naive. Go back and tell her to pray for her own luck. Makoto froze instantly. Disbelief filled his face. "It was you. You were the one who ruined Miss Lu." He suddenly jumped to his feet and pulled a sharp fruit knife from his waist. His eyes turned vicious. Instead of attacking me, he lunged toward Anna, who was standing nearby without any apparent preparation. Anna didn't panic in the slightest. The instant Makoto charged forward with the knife, she moved with clean precision. A powerful side kick slammed directly into his wrist. Clang! The knife flew out of his hand and crashed onto the floor. Before Makoto could react, she stepped forward, seized his shoulder using his momentum, and executed a perfect shoulder throw. Thud! Makoto landed flat on his back, grimacing in pain. Just as he tried to get up, I planted my foot heavily on his chest. His face twisted from the pain. Suddenly, he grabbed his head in agony. A few seconds later, he struggled to lift his head and look at me. The fury in his eyes abruptly changed. First came confusion. His pupils trembled slightly as though he had seen something impossible. A moment later, the way he looked at me became filled with terror and overwhelming hatred. His eyes widened as he stared at my face. "Go, George. It was you. It was all you. You ruined my life. I'll never forgive you. I'll kill you." Looking at his expression, I suddenly laughed. "Makoto, were you reborn too?" Makoto's pupils contracted sharply. I shook my head, the smile on my face widening. "What a shame. You came back at the wrong point. In the previous life, you died by my hand. Did you really think being reborn would change your fate? Let me tell you something. It won't. In this life, your ending won't be any different." At that moment, my bodyguards entered the room. "Boss." The color instantly drained from Makoto's face. He had probably remembered the fate he suffered in the previous life. Overwhelmed by fear, he immediately began begging. "I was wrong. Young Master Wang, I was wrong. Please spare me. I'll never do it again. I shouldn't have come looking for you. I'll disappear completely. I'll never appear in front of you again. Please spare my life." I couldn't even be bothered to look at him. With a casual wave of my hand, the bodyguard stepped forward and dragged away the terrified Makoto, who continued screaming and begging for mercy. The room became quiet once more. I turned around and looked at Anna. Then I slowly walked toward her. Kneeling on one knee, I took out the velvet ring box I had prepared long ago and gently opened it. "Anna, will you marry me and become Mrs. Wang?" Tears instantly filled Anna's eyes. She nodded vigorously and answered through sobs. "Yes, I will." Chapter 10 Epilogue. 6 months after marrying Anna, she became pregnant. One day, I accompanied her to the hospital for a prenatal checkup when I suddenly saw Willow. At that moment, she was completely out of her mind, screaming and causing a scene at the far end of the corridor. Her hair was disheveled, and her clothes were filthy and wrinkled. There was nothing left of the refined and arrogant wealthy heiress she used to be. Several medical staff members were struggling to restrain her to prevent her from hurting herself or others. Her shrill screams echoed throughout the entire hallway. "I want to die. Let me die. As long as I die, everything can start over again." Suddenly, she burst into hysterical laughter. "I'm the CEO. I'm the CEO of the Lu Group. I don't belong here. I want another chance. I want to die." I had heard that she refused to get married and harbored deep hatred toward her brother. Eventually, she stabbed him. He still hadn't regained consciousness. Enraged, her father had sent her to a psychiatric hospital. I hadn't expected her to truly lose her mind. Yet there wasn't the slightest ripple in my heart. Only indifference remained. All the grievances and entanglements of the past vanished completely the moment she descended into madness. Looking away, I gently supported Anna's arm. "Honey, let's make a bet. You're carrying twins, a boy and a girl." Anna looked at me with sparkling eyes. "You're sure?" I nodded. "Absolutely sure. Because in my previous life, that was exactly what she gave birth to, a twin brother and sister."